In lesson 8.1, we're going to seek to understand percent, and then we're going to work on changing a number from percent to decimal to fraction. Work on going between those three forms. The example we're going to use is 25%. First off, 25%, I can also write it like this, 25%. I sort of separate the per and cent, 25%. What this means is 25 per 100, because cent means 100, 25 per 100. Like think of the words century. If you have a century, the prefix cent is in there. Century means 100 years. If you have a centimeter, coming from our ratios unit, a centimeter, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And so anytime you see the word cent, think 100. So if you have 25 per cent, we have 25 per 100. Now the symbol for percent looks like this, 25%. This is our percent symbol. So we have 25 per 100. If we have 25 per 100, we can write this as a fraction like this, 25 per 100, right? The horizontal fraction bar there, we can also read as per. 25 per 100, that's fraction form. Now to write this as a decimal, we could simply read this fraction as 25 hundredths. That's how you would read that fraction. And so to write it in decimal form, I just write 0.25. And to read that decimal, I would say 25 hundredths. So there we have it, those three forms. I have 25%, 25 hundredths, 25 hundredths in decimal form and fraction form. Okay, now to go between these forms, let's say we want to go between decimal and percent. We're given a decimal, let's still use 25 hundredths, and we want to change this to a percent. Now here I wrote down D and P, D for decimal, P for percent. So I want to go from the decimal to the percent. I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the right to go from decimal to percent. So here's my decimal. I'm going to go 2 places to the right. 1, 2. And I move it by showing this U shape right here. This is 1 space, this is 2 spaces. So now the decimal is right here. If I write this as a percent, I get 25, and then I use the percent sign. Okay? Now what I'm doing when I move the decimal 2 places to the right, what I'm actually doing is multiplying by 100. Multiplying by 100. Okay? And since percent is always out of 100, if you have a decimal written in the hundredths place, like this is 25 hundredths, if it's written out of 100, you can simply drop the decimal, drop this decimal. So if I'm given this 25 hundredths, I can drop the decimal and then add the percent sign, right, which is what I get right there. That's only if the decimal is given out of 100ths. Now to go the other way, a percent to a decimal, I still write D and P. Like alphabetical order, D comes before P in the alphabet. And so to go from the percent to the decimal, I'm going to go 2 places to the left. Decimal to percent was 2 places to the right. Percent to decimal is backwards. From the percent to the decimal is 2 places left. So here I have the percent 25%. I'm going to move the decimal. Now where's the decimal at? I don't see it. Well, if you don't see it, if it's not written, it's right after the last number. It's right after the 5. So I'm going to go 2 places to the left. Again, I move it by the U shapes. 1, 2. So there's my new decimal right there. I can write this as 0.25. Now what I'm doing here, if I move the decimal 2 places to the left, what I'm actually doing is dividing by 100. Right? Just like here, if I go 2 places right, I multiply by 100. If I go 2 places to the left with my decimal, I am dividing by 100. Okay, so those 3 forms we're going to be working on in lesson 8.1, going from a percent to a decimal to a fraction.